All right, we live. All right, y'all. What up, though? Happy Friday to you, and happy weekend. I got my boy Brynn on here, Mr. Brynn Cooksey. I guess I'll be professional. Air doctor himself, the best energy efficiency auditor in the world. At least I think so, and I think my class thinks so too. So, Brynn, let the people know who you are and what you do.
Thanks for having us, Asia. Like you said, my name is Brynn. Brynn Cooksey, the air doctor. I've been in that business for quite some time. Um, kind of a twofold role here in Detroit. I own and operate Air Doctors Heating and Cooling, which is a home performance contracting business. And then to share the wealth, we tell everybody how we do things. And so we own a training business too called HVAC. And when you reference the class, that class is definitely a part of HVAC where we train people this whole energy efficiency game and how it can benefit people.
All right. So for everybody who was asking me, because during the time we was in class, I was posting about the BPI certification. People like, what's that? Now you know people too lazy to Google. So I said, you know what? I just bring the teacher himself on here so he can explain it to y'all, the benefits of it, and basically how this is really about to be a game changer for me and anybody else who. Well, I ain't gonna say for everybody because I don't know if everybody gonna do with this information what they supposed to do, but I know
Mhm.
I am.
Yep.
All right. So what is the benefit of the BPI, or actually what is the BPI certification for those who don't know?
So BPI certification, BPI is a nonprofit, and they're a standards organization, and they are a certification organization. And where they came from, back in the early '90s, the Department of Energy uh, was investigating a whole bunch of things as far as energy efficiency. So they needed a standard or group to research our houses and find out with our houses and our buildings, um, our utility bills were high and why. And basically, BPI was formed and they created standards and testing criteria. So, the benefit of being a BPI certified professional, I can challenge their exams. And when I get that certification, it basically means that I've been through some rigorous training to understand what they call building science. So I
Mhm.
can go into homes and businesses and try to reduce the bills. That's kind of the name of the game. Reduce the bills and make that home or business more comfortable, more energy efficient, and safer too.
All right. So how much does it cost to typically get the BPI certification?
There's so many different levels. There's an investment as far as time, so you have to invest your time to study because it's building science. It's legit physics and chemistry. It can get really technical. The classes vary. Classes can vary from several hundred bucks to several thousand, depending on the certification that you're going after. But the return on investment is huge. Once you get that, it's a highly coveted certification exam. And if you're a BPI certified professional, pretty much that means that you've been through that rigorous training and testing, and that when you walk into a building, you have a really good idea of what's going on as far as energy use.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna back up a little bit. So what inspired you to even start your heating and cooling company?
Yep. I work for some local utilities here in Michigan, and I was kind of exposed to energy, and it was just pretty fascinating. Um, I've always had that entrepreneur dream, so I left my role at the utility company, and I did it where I felt I was old enough to been through some things to understand business, but I was young enough that if I did fail, I had enough time to go back into the corporate world. So,
Mm.
seeing the utility company, the ins and outs, how energy is made, and learning how energy is used in homes and businesses was really fascinating to me. So, as a result, I decided to create a business that focused on solving those kind of problems.
Okay. So do you feel like you've had any like challenges, and if so, like what were your biggest challenges? It's just business in general.
Business in general, getting rolling. As an entrepreneur, you know this. You wear a lot of hats, so getting rolling. Um, Cash may be tight. You got to wear a lot of hats. It's long hours, and really, you operate like that until you start to onboard people to help you start taking those hats off. So the entrepreneurial grind isn't for everybody, but getting started. it's definitely challenging to get the ball rolling to where you can figure out your marketing, figure out your business best practices, and then hire. And once you hire, then the business starts to grow.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. I'm at the point where I know I need help, but I don't feel like I'll take a hit. Like, I got that contract with Seal and stuff, so I
Mhm.
don't mind peanut butter jelly sandwiches. All
Yep.
right, Asia, ain't no eating out for 6 months or
Yep.
whatever, or I only eat out once a week instead of every other day. I gotta cook. Like,
Yep.
I'll take that hit because I don't have kids or anything like that. I don't have a family, so I'll take the hit so my subs don't. So
Mhm.
everybody can't. But I know I'm at the point where I don't want to keep having to do that, and I know
Yep.
I need help. My issue, I think, is I'm afraid to hire the wrong help.
Yep.
I
Yep.
think,
And that's important. You do you do have to hire the right person. That way, they're compatible with you. They're going to fit your culture. And honestly, you're going to make mistakes. You're gonna get that wrong person in. But part of the part of the journey is going through and kind of learning what works and what doesn't works, and really running a business. It should be fun. But you're going to make those mistakes. I've made those mistakes. Any business person tell you that they're going to make those mistakes. But the key to business growth is people. You got to hire the people. You have to take yourself out the equation and put people in place so that they can do the actual work so that you can focus on the business. And I think once I realized that and started hiring good people, that's when my business has started to grow.
but how do you determine like who's good? I guess I could determine it the same way I determine who's a good tenant and who's a bad tenant.
Same type of vetting process. Questions, their background, what kind of motivates them. We have a really robust hiring process now where we ask really specific questions as far as scenarios and what they do, and their responses, they're not a yes or no thing, or they really can't, like, they have to be pretty in depth.
Hmm.
They have to pretty give you pretty in-depth answers to um, talk about that specific question. So once we switch to that process and we take our time, we've struck out with our last few ones where we got some really really great people.
So with the class that you taught with us, do y'all get people that way too? Like when you teach in classes, like okay, this person kind of stands out. Let me go and offer them a job, maybe.
Hmm. Yeah. For the longest time, even when I taught as a professor for local community colleges, that was my recruiting tool. So I would talk to individuals in the training programs, and if they were interested in moving forward, I would have that conversation with them. And I never poached if they were working. I never brought up the conversation, but if they were actively looking, I threw my hat in the ring. And what was nice about that, I got to interview them before they knew I was interviewing them. If you know what I mean, I got to see if they're going to show up on time. I got to see if they did their work, how they communicated, and that was really really successful. So much so, by far, that's how most of my employees have been hired.
That's dope. That's real dope. All right, so how do you feel like your company stands out from like all the other heating and cooling, competitors? Because you looked at, you Google that, and there's a bunch of them that show up. But I
Mhm.
personally think y'all stand out because you got the workforce.
Yeah, I appreciate that. The way we do business, Asia, we I'm a see it is believe it kind of person. So we try to get out of what we call a rat race, which is a race to the bottom line, a race to the cheapest price. And we want our expertise to shine through. And we want to be that contractor that actually solved the problem. So I'm sure you probably bought something and it was sold to you and it sounded great and all that kind of stuff. But when you actually got down to it, it didn't work like they said it would. Um, in our business, what's made us successful is that we don't have that. We have, actual diagnostic testing where we can actually prove this is what's wrong with your house and this is how we fix it. And when we fix it, we're going to test it again just to show you that we fixed it. So, going with that approach, that definitely separates us. And a lot of our competitors don't have the time nor the desire to put that kind of detail in it.
Yeah, because I know just within like what we learned in class, like how detail oriented y'all are. I'm for sure that stand out. But just from like the business side, from what I just saw from this class, because you got a lot of your employees in there learning these different, things too. And I'm like, well, that's increasing your workforce and the knowledge that they have too, which will also set you out because it's like, they're an extension of you. So that's just something I noticed.
Absolutely. No, I thank you for that compliment. That's important.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Let me see what's next. Let me see if I got any questions. None yet. I'm trying to ask stuff that people been blowing my DMs up asking. Okay, I got one. So somebody fresh off of these certification, what's the average starting pay for an employee?
So I'll say for an employee, um, it can range. It kind of depends on what they'll be doing. What's nice about the certifications, it's not one specific job that you're kind of fitted for. It's a range of opportunities where you can be an auditor, you can be a weatherization person that actually fixes the houses. So I've seen a range anywhere from 18 to 25 to start.
Mm, that ain't bad.
Mm-mm.
And then you can probably go up to, I don't know what the if it's a cap, but I'm sure the more certs you get, of course, the more you can make.
Some of my students recently coming out of similar classes within a year's time, they're 35, $40 just because of they understood it, they had the certs, they were dependable, and I get phone calls and texts all the time like, hey, I just got a raise or I just got a promotion, all that kind of stuff. So
That's
um,
dope.
yeah, it's a really, really in demand field. When I was traveling a couple weeks ago at a conference, I heard pretty much from a lot of the workforce development companies that we need 32 million workers in the industry right now, amongst all the various, you know, business roles. So not only do you have your technical people, you got, administrators that also need to be in this particular industry also. So, I mean, it's absolutely a hot market right now.
That's dope. So I'm on the right path because I was thinking as I start hiring people, like if I'm the one, I don't know if I want to be the one out in the field or I
Hmm.
want to be the one doing the actual auditing, like the people with seal, like how they send us the report. I think I kind of want to be more on that side.
Yep.
I don't know what that pays, but I was thinking of paying somebody like 25 to maybe 35 an hour.
That's market rate for that, and it's a ton of that work. And a lot of the rebates that are coming out for tax credits and IRA rebates, which I'm sure we'll talk about here in a little bit,
Mhm.
they all require audit to do them. So you're talking about even more work that's going to be needed here in the future.
So on the business side, what do they normally charge or what's the going rate to charge to do an audit? Do it go by the square foot or if it's commercial or residential?
So we'll start residential first. So audit can be, I'll say, what you charge is going to dictate what you do. Audits have various levels, so I can do an audit where I take pretty much, I call it the 10,000 foot stuff, the real, high level audit where I'm looking at certain things, I'm admitting certain things. You might have an audit in that range from $400 to $500. I have done some audits where we are really, really into the weeds trying to figure out a comfort problem, and those audits can go 1,500, $2,000. The size of the building definitely has a role, and
Okay.
some commercial audits you can have an audit that you do a manufacturing facility, and that audit can be $25,000. So it just kind of
Mm.
depends on what you're doing. Yep.
Now the ones that are 25,000, that sounds amazing.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, but I was wondering, I was like, how much work does that entail? How long does it take?
It's usually a crew of people, and they're usually in the building for maybe a week or two, gathering data, crunching numbers, and stuff like that. And then once they get all that information, then they're going to go and produce plans or, um, I'll say, reports that's going to help that client make the best decisions possible. So it is a lot of work. Some software. Typically, when you get into those type of projects, you're looking at a team of auditors.
So I agree with you when you told us in class that this should be in high school and
Hmm.
then people graduate automatically with this cert and they can just go right out and start
Hmm.
making 18 plus dollars an hour, especially you first out of school. That's some pretty damn good money.
Hmm.
And then I'm also wondering if maybe you should go even younger, like maybe to the eighth graders.
I think so. I think not only from the workforce part, but you know, as you have gone through the course, how do you feel about your house now? Have you changed anything that you didn't do before you went into the course? Just the knowledge, I think, is important.
Yeah, because I definitely been like, because I kind of knew something was up. Because like you told us in class, like at first I thought I needed new windows,
Hmm.
but now I'm like, okay, maybe I don't need, which I'm cool with because new windows for a house can, they can get up there. Even
Yep.
being a GC, it won't be as bad, but just on a regular homeowner, yeah. And I'm like, damn, and no, I don't believe nobody's ever been in that attic, so yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Just that knowledge. What is a window job? It's 20 or 30,000 bucks. Just that knowledge.
Mhm.
You could have sunk that money into that investment, and you wouldn't have been happy with that. And what we're getting at, just for your audience, purchasing windows for energy efficiency is like one of the worst investments that you can make.
Yep.
And yep, and it's like the sales from window companies kind of spin it the opposite way, but just the data and testing shows that windows are not that big of an investment. They don't return the money quick enough to be considered a good investment. Do they save energy? Yes, but will you get your money back maybe in your lifetime? Maybe not. So with that being said, you could have put that money into those windows, and that money could have totally went somewhere else and made a return. So just the knowledge of it, not necessarily having a job, but just having that knowledge, you operated your life a little bit different. And I think if we can get that into younger and younger generations, I think we'll all be doing better.
Yeah, I agree. Cause I just know, like looking at my house, like now with it being really, really cold the last week or two, it was already an issue with the older furnace, so it is a little better in there. But I know, I do believe my duct size are either, I don't know if they wrong. Maybe when they built the house back in 2000, that was the code,
Hmm.
or they could be wrong. I think the duct size need to be fixed.
Hmm.
I definitely need air sealing. I definitely probably need the spray foam because it's
Hmm.
like once I get like because our house is a colonial and it's like a split level. So once
Okay.
I started coming up the stairs, I could feel the draft coming from the window right there at that staircase. Like I could
Hmm.
feel it.
Yep. Yeah. Just that knowledge, you now understand that you may be paying more on your utility bill than
Yeah,
what you need to. The utility companies, they kind of get a bad rap on the rates, and it's not really fair because the utility companies are heavily regulated. What they charge to ratepayers is really controlled. And when your bill is high, let's say you got a high utility bill, gas or electric bill, that high bill is a result of efficiency. So the
hmm,
utility companies, they bill you based on what you consume. If your house is inefficient, if it's leaky, if it has poor ducts, if it has equipment that's too large, you're going to use more energy than you need to, and that's what really makes up your bill.
yeah,
So that's the thing with the course that we've been teaching for a long time, is helping people understand that, hey, your house, you can really reduce your bills and take that money that you save and do it and put it somewhere else.
yeah. Cause like our DT bill in the winter probably a good 200-300. Cause
Hmm.
like downstairs be straight, but like upstairs, like I got the heat on 75, and sometimes I be like, bruh, I'm still kind of cold.
Hmm.
But then I wondered at the vent placement, and then like in the bathroom, I noticed the other day, like since this class, I've been going down this whole rabbit hole. So in the bathroom, the vent that's in there, like I don't really fit. That's why I'm like, it got to be something with my duct side because it's not pushing it up. And my
Yep.
HVAC guy who did it, he did kind of say, but we was on a budget because that's what it
Hmm.
was. Because I updated that and the AC. But I do think once y'all come and do the audit, and then I actually do what you suggest, which I kind of already figured what it's gonna be. I think
Hmm.
that's gonna make a big difference.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now, even if you're not into the technical nitty gritty, you're definitely an educated homeowner,
Yeah,
and if you get work done, now you got a whole lot of specific questions that you're going to ask. Is going to keep that contractor honest. So I feel this course is life changing.
yeah,
Teaching building science, I get a kick out of it. Not only do I get to help people, realize kind of financial benefits, but it's truly valuable information that you can change lives.
yeah. Cause like I think we probably, like how they do like a first time home buyer class. I think this should be some type. It ain't got to be as in depth in our class, but maybe like a
Mm.
class course, just
Yep.
so homeowners can be educated. So when this grant funding do come to the city or they go apply for stuff, they understand what they getting. other than like, oh, I'm just getting a new free furnace.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree 100%. It should, if I had it my way, coming out of high school, it would be some kind of financial literacy course and it would be an energy efficiency course. And I just think so many people would get a better head start on savings, on respiratory health, because as you learned in the course, energy efficiency is directly linked to how well your respiratory health is. And a lot of people will
Yep.
say, yeah, well, how so? If I have a leaky, inefficient house, sometimes it can produce some indoor air quality issues that can attack your respiratory system. So you can develop allergies or asthma from things that really is your house being energy inefficient that's causing that. So even that, you can talk about, less trips to the doctor or less inhaler use, all kinds of stuff. So the classes definitely should get to a younger audience sooner.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, let me see. So you kind of already explained that one. So how do you feel that the BPI certification or just the knowledge benefits, customers in terms of, what they saving in their true comfort, or do they even understand like the importance of comfort?
So you mentioned some things, how you've noticed your house is uncomfortable, right? So
Yeah.
you just mentioned how you might have your heat set at 75 and you're setting your thermostat at 75 just to make the upstairs a little bit warmer right now, right?
Yep.
Okay, so if I come to you as a professional, I say, hey, Asia, all right, I can fix that, right? I can make your upstairs 72 and your downstairs 72. Would you pay for that?
Absolutely, because I be cold. Like,
You'd be
but
cold.
but even in the winter, I change out like my covers. Like I got like a what's the feather down one? Like that,
Yep,
I get hot actually with that cover. But still, like little stuff like that, I made a difference though. But it would be nice for like no matter what part of the house I go in, it's all the same temperature,
absolutely. So
especially in the summertime.
that can totally be done. It can totally be fixed. However, the thing with BPI testing, it proves that person has the capability to solve those problems. So, if you go in and it's a furnace replacement, one thing that a lot of contractors do who haven't been trained yet, they'll turn around and replace the furnace, an old furnace with the same size. And as you learned in class, that a lot of those furnaces are grossly oversized by 100%. So they're twice the size they need to be. And that's contributing to your bills and also your comfort problems. So to answer your question, walking in and being able to prove that we can do these things and show customers, it totally is a game changer. And it's changed my business, it's changed my life.
It's about to change mine because I'm on it. I've been soon the first when we started like when you first told me about it, I started looking it up, but then I didn't really look it up until I got in there and you started really explaining stuff to us, and I was like, bro, this stuff is life changing,
It
money wise
is.
for the employer and the employee. Like
Absolutely.
everybody gonna have new trucks.
Hey, absolutely. And what's crazy is that it's room for everybody. It's such a huge demand to do it. I routinely go and train my competitors. I mean, if that sounds crazy, like I go into my competitors' offices and teach them what I know. A lot of times for free, just to share the knowledge, just because I can literally be in the same city and never see my competitors, just because it's that much amount of work that's available. So
Are they
um,
receptive?
oh, very, very, very much so. Yeah, very much so. So,
Good.
so I'll say some are not, some are not believers yet. We haven't got them to take the class, and those who are not, that's okay. Maybe they'll come around, but the ones who've been through it, they completely understand, and they've changed their businesses for the better. So, we'll keep working on them. Though.
Stay strong.
Absolutely.
All right, let me see what other questions I got. Oh, so what are some common misconceptions that homeowners have about, just HVAC in their systems and energy efficiency in general?
Number one problem: bigger is better. They your same scenario. Right now it's cold outside, and the upstairs is cooler than downstairs.
Hmm.
I want to replace my system. I want to put a bigger one in. That's automatically the problem that they think, and we have to do a whole lot of testing just to show them like, nope, that's not the problem. Actually, that's going to make the problem worse. We need to put a properly sized system in. That way, it runs long enough. Therefore, we're going to actually make you comfortable and save some money. So that's one of the big misconceptions, and we have to do a good job of communicating to make sure customers understand that.
Hmm. Okay. Have you ever got cussed out once you like explain this to home? Because you know a lot of homeowners they don't be receptive. They're like, "What you mean I gotta get a new furnace? I just paid for blah blah blah."
Not at me per se. Typically, when I lay down the data, well, like I said, we test, right? I lay down the data. They're they're more upset at the situation, and they're typically upset at the person who maybe put the system in. We have some people where price was their sole focus, and it was nothing that we could say or do. They just didn't value what we have to say. And sometimes you run into that, but that's not often.
Mhm.
But I'll say we haven't necessarily been attacked, but people have been mad at the situation.
Gotcha. All right, let me see. What steps do you take to educate your customers about maintaining an energy efficiency home or energy efficient?
once once we come up with the solutions to it, we either train them to do the maintenance themselves, or a lot of times when we get into these larger retrofit projects, we will include that maintenance along with our services. So that way they've got the repairs done, they happy, their house is comfortable, energy efficient, and then as a courtesy, we'll come out and actually take care of the maintenance for it.
Okay, that's nice. I do like how you told us that you do like the filter stuff, like you just go and do it, like you don't charge. And I don't know if other companies do that, but I thought, well, not up here. I know like the companies in the South do it because I know the HVAC company at my dad's house. They send me a text every 90 days, like, "Hey, reminder to change the filter. If you don't,
Mm-hmm.
we can come change it for you." And they just like he take care of it to where he just had them come every 90 days and change it.
Yep. Yeah. So one of the first rules I learned in business is you want to have delighted customers. And what I mean by that, you want customers that when they have a particular problem, they're not going on Google, they're not looking for referrals, they have a guy. And in
Right.
our business, we try to be that guy. So if you have an HVAC problem, all right, let me call Brynn, let me call the air doctors. We're that guy that they immediately know that they're going to reach out and their problem's going to get fixed. And when you develop that kind of relationship, if they leave one house and go buy another, guess what? We're going to be servicing that new house.
Hmm.
And if they have a family, 10, 15 years later, their children are going to start to call us. And then we're starting to work with the grandparents. So that relationship and just providing great customer service is one of the reasons why we do little stuff like that.
How did you come up with the name Air Doctor? Because I always thought that was cool as hell.
It comes from a lot of the things and problems I fixed when I was in a utility company. That was a kind of a nickname that was given to me, and based on that, I just kind of used it into my business name.
Yeah, I think it's cool and your logo because it's different. It's
Thank
standing
you,
out.
thank you, appreciate that.
We got one question. What are your thoughts on going all electric in a home or a building? Heat pump.
Mm, mm. Really hot topic right
Did
now.
we
That's
go
an
over
awesome.
this class?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. That's an awesome question. So let's talk about why. All right. So when you go all electric, the reason why it's so incentivized right now is for carbon emissions. So whether you believe in climate change or not, um, um, parts of the government are focused on reducing carbon. Carbon is a greenhouse gas, and its emissions into the atmosphere, in theory, are making the atmosphere warmer. So if I have a furnace and it burns a fuel like natural gas and exhaust gases go into the atmosphere, it's contributing to that carbon emission. Now, if I electrify, if I take the fuel away and put maybe a device like a heat pump, I reduce that carbon significantly. And when I reduce that carbon, I kind of can combat climate change. So that's why the focus on electrification. It's the best thing to do if you're climate conscious. However, there's some caveats that we need to understand, and it's really driven by the climate you're in. Right. So if you go all electric here, our utility electric rates are higher than our gas. So you may reduce carbon, and at the same time you reducing carbon just because of what we pay for energy, your bills may go up if you try to go all electric. So to kind of find out the best solution for your particular area in your house, you need an audit. And what the auditor is doing is going to basically take the information from the house, the climate, your utility bills, is your house weatherized? It's going to take all those factors in. And from that point, we can kind of calculate if you go all electric, this is what your bills would look like. If you go partial electric, which is a thing, I can electrify some things in my house. This is what my bills are going to look like. So it's not an all or nothing, but it has its advantages. But you just have to be real careful to do it to make sure that you don't get a high utility bill. That's one of our concerns. So if I have a high utility bill, a lot of the rebates and incentives that come out are for low income families. So just imagine a low income family opening up a $2,000 utility bill, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's in January, and we got February and March coming right behind it. It won't be sustainable for them. So when you go all electric, you really have to do your due diligence to make sure you're selecting the best options for your situation and for your family.
For sure. All right. I hope that answered your question. I forgot the person IG, but I remember it was a lady. All right, let's see. How has the focus on energy efficiency impacted the HVAC industry, and how have you adapted to the? Well, you adapted great, but I don't know.
Oh,
Or was it like a shock to you, like to see from where you started and where you at now because of that? Because that had to be kind of cool to be traveling and getting to teach people, and you getting paid to travel to teach people.
it's I love what I do. To digress, I love the role I have, the education part. I love the research that I get to conduct. Like I get to kind of get into the science of the numbers and actually help to contribute and give my opinion on different policies. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But as an HVAC industry, um, if you think about it, your HVAC, your heating and cooling system, they're the largest part of your utility bill. They
Yeah.
are, yeah. So they are heavily scrutinized to make things more efficient. So every year, every couple of years, there are new minimums where if I buy this air conditioner, it has to be this energy level, or the ratings have changed to reflect what the actual real world conditions look like as far as ratings. So it's heavily impacted by energy efficiency. I'll say almost more than any other industry. It's always changing.
Mm-hmm. That's dope. So was it like so when you first started really making like a profit with it? Was it kind of like shocking, like dang, this really worked, or it was like no, I kind of expected this to happen?
Um, I kind of expected it. So not to give people the wrong impression, you do have to work, and one of the things that I had to work on is communicating to the point to get my point across and actually encourage the customer to make the best decision. So I had to take some sales training. I had to basically say, okay, this customer, if you understand the challenge, they they know they have a problem because they called me, right? Their upstairs is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
However, they don't know why their upstairs is uncomfortable, and I'm going to be the only person possibly telling them this. So that's where testing comes in. I have to test that building or that house and give the customer enough data so that they can make good decisions. So once I put the technical piece and actually the sales piece together, I can communicate pretty effectively to show the customers that, hey, your bill is 50% more than it needs to be. You need to fix A, B, and C, and that's going to resolve your problems.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got a question. So I'm a first time home buyer. What should I look for when I'm walking through a home? I guess it's in regards to heating and cooling.
Um, Look at the way you operate your house. Like, do you go into certain areas that are uncomfortable? Is it a two-story house? You go upstairs and it's uncomfortable. If your upstairs and downstairs are not the same temperature, pretty close, you got a problem, right? Your bills are higher than they need to be, just off the bat. Um, Also, um, how do you feel inside your house? And what I mean by that, from a wellness standpoint, a leaky, inefficient house, like we mentioned, can also contribute to maybe some respiratory issues. So, at my house, do I have sneezing, coughing, and all that kind of stuff? That can indicate that you have a building efficiency problem that is contributing to an indoor air quality problem. So, um, Those are two of the things I tell customers to kind of look for. You don't have the instruments, but you can tell how well you feel. If I feel lousy at home and I turn around and feel great at work, you got a problem. You got a problem in your house.
Yeah, especially like when it comes to mold and stuff like that, people getting sick with that. So,
Yeah.
cause I see like a lot of houses I go in, I see mold all the time, especially in the basements, be all on
Mm-hmm.
the wall. And
All
I'm
over the
telling
place.
these tenants like, you gonna let your landlord know, or maybe they did let the landlord know, and the landlord ain't do nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's crazy. All right, let's see. What are some simple, cost-effective ways that a homeowner can improve their heating and cooling systems efficiency?
Quickest and easy is a smart thermostat, and then programming it to set back. That's something that the homeowner can do. If you have a smart thermostat, you can program it. Or everybody knows about the Nest and EcoBees, those kind of products. Those devices, if I can put a program in and set that program, I can reduce my consumption. So, for example, if you get up and go to work every day,
Hmm.
if I turn my thermostat down just a couple of degrees where my furnace won't kick on, I save a little bit of money. All right, so that's one thing. Um, if you see, I'll say, holes that you can take care of, like maybe you can go to Home Depot and get some weather stripping, little stuff like that to kind of reduce some of the air that leaks into the building. Those are smaller, cheaper projects that you can do. But the best way to go about it, and like I'll say the range is 500 to $1,000, is to get an energy audit, get an energy professional over, let them do some diagnostic testing, and they give you an itemized list of exactly what you need to do. And you can take that list and you can do the stuff on it. You cannot do the stuff on it. You can do one thing a year, but you have an itemized list, so that way you're not guessing. You know exactly what you can look at. So if I had money and I didn't know where to start, I would get an audit.
Have you audited your own house?
I did.
How did that go?
It was bold. My house was 2005, and we moved in, and it looked great, and it was our home, and it's our forever home. But the furnace was 125,000 BTUs, and my bill was $400 a month. And I replaced my furnace with a 60,000 BTU furnace, and I cut my bill in half.
So what
So
you do with the old one? Just sold it or
I
donated?
just used it for training. So we took it and basically at our office, we'll use it for training just to show guys what a bad system looks like and what improper sizing does to the equipment. So a lot of times, if we pull equipment out of customers' houses, if they're okay with it, instead of scrapping it, we'll take it back to the office and just use it as training.
So I remember in class you mentioned that we not supposed to hear our furnace turn on. I be hearing mine. So cause when that day when you told us that in class, I came home and I was like, damn, my furnace.
You got audit. You need an audit.
Yeah, I hear my
Yep.
furnace. Like I sneeze in the morning, but the Hawkeye be sneezing.
Yep.
Like this is crazy. But
Yeah.
I kind of already knew something was on. But see, my first thought was, oh, I just need new insulation and I need new windows. I didn't never would have thought all this other stuff without taking that class.
Absolutely.
So why is it that we not supposed to hear our furnace?
So if the ducts were designed properly, what you're hearing is velocity noise. So,
Wait, back up.
yep,
I don't know what velocity mean.
sure, sure. So I got a duct, right? I got a pipe, the shiny ductwork that's in your basement. Okay. When the building codes, when houses were built, they were built before there was consistent design practices. Right. So those ducts in the basement, they need to be sized a certain way to allow the airflow to get from point A to point B. They need to be large enough so that the air is not restricted, and they need to be large enough so that as air flows through them, you don't hear the air flowing through them. So if you hear your furnace comes on and you hear the air rushing through your system, all right, that's typically an indication that the ducts may be too small, or the furnace is too big, or it's a combination of both. So usually that is quite a shocker when people say, when I tell them that, and they say, "What? Every house I've ever been to, I can hear the furnace come on," and it's like, yes, that's right. Every house you've been into is wrong. So
Cause look, so like I got a little gym in my basement. So when I was working out this morning, I had to turn the TV. I'm like, damn, this shit loud, bro. Like, but I'm never not in the basement for real when it come on. Like I might
yeah,
be upstairs, so it's like more of a
yep,
whisper. But in the basement,
yep.
that shit was loud. I was like, damn, this nigga did not lie. Like, 'cause we swear, like, no, he don't know what he's talking about. I'm like, this junk is loud. But I
Yep.
think mine is it might be a combination, but I definitely think mine is the duck size.
Okay. Yep. Yep. So when we do an audit, and we come by, it's all kind of tests that we can perform and show it. And it's we pinpoint it. We never miss. We test all this stuff, and the numbers don't lie. They tell us exactly what's
So when
going
y'all
on.
do my house, I'm just gonna sit in the living room and watch TV.
Yep.
I want to follow y'all behind because now that I took that class, so I can like still get the keep it going in my head, like the practice. But I'm
Yep.
no, I'm gonna be a customer and I'm gonna sit down.
Yep. Absolutely. So we'll go through the audit, and then basically we'll talk about the results, and then uh, and just kind of go from there.
All right, cool. Let me see some more questions. All right, we did that. Well, what trends or innovation in the HVAC and energy efficiency space are you most excited about that's coming?
Um, I definitely love the connected home piece. So I love the fact that all this equipment is can be tracked over your phone, and it gives us a lot of data. Like now, I can go up to some thermostats and look at how often the furnace or air conditioner ran, and tell if it's too big or not. So like the data is just amazing to me. Um, I do like the investment from the Inflation Reduction Act. I think that that bill itself is going to give a lot of opportunity to various families to upgrade their heating and cooling system with low or no out of pocket cost, where they can get their heating and cooling system upgraded, and we can fix a lot of the houses that have those, I'll say, those antiquated design practices, those older houses that didn't have the building codes we have now. So I'm excited to see that, and it presents a big opportunity to business like yours and mine, where we can go out and actually do a lot of good work.
Hmm. I'm excited for next year. Like I was talking to some of my subs about it today. Like a lot of them down, but I think it's that 6 weeks. Cause I'm like, I had a couple of them had got selected to do the class, but for whatever reason they turned down. And then one of my main subs, he really wanted to do the class, and they didn't even call him.
Mm. It is a time investment, and I'm not gonna lie,
It was,
it's tough. And I had my guys in there, and it was tough still operating a business while they're in training. But training doesn't cost; it pays. So I
yes,
look at ROI. The fact that you're in those training. Let's say you did miss some opportunities to make some money on some jobs. Well, now that you got these newfound skills, and you're going to find more problems and you're going to solve problems, that gives you an opportunity to really charge what you're worth. So you're going to make it back. You're going to make it back. You just have to, you got to bite the bullet and invest the time.
I agree with that because that's how I looked at it. I'm like, it's only 18 days. It was very accelerated 18 days because, like, so I'm in the BPI class and I'm in Motor City Contractor Development Fund class. So
Mhm.
they meet every other Thursday. So the weeks when I had to go there and do our class,
That's
dog,
a lot. That was a
I
lot.
feel like I was back in engineering classes in college.
That's a lot.
That was a lot. Like, and I was tired. I ain't no morning person, so I gotta get up at 6 o'clock. I'm like, bro, this is too early.
It
I
is.
don't get up early unless I'm going to the airport.
What we've done, and we just launched it quite a bit, is quite I'll say recently we launched it. We put a lot of our courses on an LMS, so that way, if individuals really just can't carve out the time to go to in person, which is my favorite, we do have an LMS, an online academy, where they can get the same content, and it's at their pace. So maybe they're working in the daytime, they need to do it at night, they can, and they can still get the certs and all that kind of stuff. But it's nothing like the in person thing. We just have
Yeah.
a blast when we do it.
I don't think I would have did this class online. I think for me, I had to because it's like I know a little bit about HVAC just because I'm a GC. But
Mhm.
now I feel like I know a way lot more. So now, like when some of my subs that actually do true load calcs, I really understand it now.
Yep, absolutely.
So can you kind of talk about load calcs and how a lot of these HVAC contractors don't be doing load calcs? They
Yeah.
throw a in there.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what a load calc is, there's a process where you physically measure the house to determine how big or how small the furnace and air conditioner needs to be. All right. Um, as a bad habit, and the building codes were not there, and it's a lot of problems. It's not sufficient training. The training isn't available. Sometimes it's a price barrier to get the training. So as a result, in our industry locally and here in Michigan, other areas in the country, they have a um, like a maybe a more robust process, so they stopped having as big of an issue. But here in Michigan, it's a wild west. So
Yeah.
a contractor will come and well meaning, and I'm not throwing shade at anybody. I've done wrong before. Starting out before I was properly trained, I would go and I would take out a furnace and I would put the same size back in. All right. And when I did that, it worked. Customer was happy. That customer was comfortable. But, as Americans, we were always kind of conditioned to live with that uncomfortable room. There's nothing that we can do about it. All right. A two-story house, the upstairs is just always going to be cold. Right.
Hmm.
Once I got properly trained by building science and I figured out what we can do with it, it was pretty eye opening where I can go to a house now, measure it, and for like say for example, air conditioner, right? I need to know how big the house is. I need to know how much insulation is in the house. I need to know how leaky the house is. I need to know how many people are in the house. I need to know how many pets are in the house. If you got a lot of plants, I need to account for all that to properly size the air conditioner. And if a contractor is not asking those questions, it's a pure guess. They're simply guessing at that process. And what typically happens, they guess at it, they put the improper size back in, and it works to get you cooling, but your bills are high, and your comfort in certain areas of the house is just not there. And it all comes from improper contractor training.
Hmm. The only thing with that is now that because I know people who follow me who watching this, they're gonna go back and take notes. And when they do HVAC stuff, especially the investors, I know they're gonna start asking these type of questions. So
Absolutely.
I can't wait to
Yeah. Yep.
read that. I'm like, y'all might get cussed out because a lot of people they not a lot of people ain't receptive to change. Then it's like the audacity for you to sit up here and question me. I've been doing this 36
Mhm.
years, and come to find out you've been doing this wrong for 36 years.
And that's a gut punch because I felt that way. I joked on LinkedIn recently that I was taking a refresher course in this, and somebody commented on the post that what did I learn? And I told them I was already shamed and baptized. So I've already been baptized. I've already been shamed. Like I've been through my shame before of not knowing and doing wrong. So now that I'm on the other side of it, my
Yeah.
life's mission is to help other contractors to get over that. Once you get out your own way and you learn how to do it properly, everything else is going to work out. So eventually we'll get to everybody. But like I said, we got to make training accessible. We got to make it easy, and it can't be any barrier so people will actually do it. Because if it's hard, people are not going to do it.
Hmm. So, how do you see your company evolving, like over the next, like maybe 2 to 5 years, especially with the growing emphasis on how sustainable and energy efficient solutions is steady coming? Because I personally believe no matter who in office, like we got Trump and
Mhm.
whoever's after him and going forward, this is going to be an ongoing problem. Like I think this is super job security
It is.
that people not really realizing, and we getting ahead of it because before you informed me of this to even take the class, I knew nothing about this. You don't hear nothing about this on the news or TV or nowhere.
Just to put it in perspective, it's between 4 and 5 million houses in Michigan, right?
Hmm.
To some extent, even the brand new houses, the building codes haven't really followed building science. So even a brand new house built today has that kind of issue. So with a housing stock between 4 and 5 million, there's probably, I'll say, less than 100 auditors. So just think of the scope of work that
In the
we
whole
got.
state or just Metro Detroit?
Whole state.
Wow.
Yeah, whole state. So with that being said, it's not a lot of people doing it. Hence, you're always going to have some type of job security. We're not going to solve our housing stock and retrofitting it in our lifetime. It's just not going to happen. The scale is just too massive.
Mm. So now I wonder, so like with all this AI stuff, then that's still job security because you ain't got to really worry about AI like replacing it or robots.
No, you can't ship it out of town. You can't get rid of it, and it has to be a skilled person that's going to do it. Because if they're not, you can make problems worse. So, it's a never ending. I forgot what one of your classmates put it. It's a perpetual problem that's going to keep feeding itself. It's going to keep feeding itself. Even new houses, they're not all the way up to the proper building code, so it's going to keep feeding itself. So it's endless. Really, it's endless.
Cause it's crazy. Cause like even with new construction houses, a lot of them be built, backwards and bow.
Hmm.
On the construction side, now you got the heating and cooling problem that's probably messed up too.
Yep. I got houses that are built across the street from me right now today, and the duct systems are wrong. They're not occupied yet. When family occupies that house, they're going to pay a lot of money to occupy it. When they occupy it, they're going to have high bills from day one. And think about that. And let's say average family lives in a house 7 to 10 years. From day one, for 7 to 10 years, they're going to be paying, you name it, 20, 30, 40, 50% more on their bill than they would have needed to because the design processes were not followed.
So you know what you need to do? Get you some of them little nice, cute door hangers. So
Yep,
as soon as they finish building them, just go and put them on everybody's door.
absolutely. Yep.
Every month I'll go put them on their door or mail them. If you want to be poor person, but I just put it on the door.
Yeah, we go. Once they get occupied, we'll invite our neighbors over for a barbecue, and we'll break the news to them that way. Also,
True that. So you gonna feed them and then
there you go.
that's so typical. You gonna feed me and then hit me with the okie doke.
There you go.
Typical. Typical. Let me see. What's another question? Can you share an example of a project where energy efficiency solutions significantly benefited the customer?
Ooh, my best one to date. We did a whole house retrofit. So we did attic insulation. Um, we did a furnace. We put a new air conditioner.
Hmm.
We did wall insulation. We changed the duct size. We modified the ducts that fit the new furnace. Um, Older Detroit house, and we saved that customer about $2,500 in that first year. So if you think about significant investment, if you take $2,500 and you put it into investment account, and let's say you let it ride for 18 years, you're talking about a combined account of well over $100,000. And what can a family do with that? They can send people to college. They can have weddings, retirement account. It's like all these benefits just because we were able to actually reduce their carbon footprint and save them some money.
Yeah, because like if you all you doing is working and paying bills, you ain't got time to do nothing else or the money to do nothing else because you always working and paying
Yep.
bills. So it's like now you saving money on this end, and maybe you could pay down some other bills or
Hmm.
go on a nice trip or
Absolutely.
you
Uh,
know splurge a little more at the grocery store.
all that, that $2,500 a year. That's dinner. That's a vacation. I mean, it's so much stuff that you can do. That was uh, my best job ever. And routinely, we save people about $1,500 a year. That's kind of our average.
You got to get a video testimony or something from them.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We got something out there.
All right, let's see. How do you stay updated on the latest trends and technologies in the HVAC and energy efficiency space?
Um, as time permits, I try to go to as many trade shows and conferences as possible. And as much as I teach, I try to be the student also. So I try to, whatever training I can do, if I'm not training actively, if I'm not on the road or working with a customer, um, a lot of times in my free time, I'll take me and my family. We'll go out and we'll visit a new place. We'll go to a training class in Florida together. Um, I'll check out a course just to learn and soak it in, and that's it's actually a hobby for me. As my family are doing anything, and after I'm done, we'll get together and we'll shop or do whatever. So I stay abreast by trying to always be a student of the business.
Mm-hmm. All right, Miss Eve says this is eye-opening tips that other folks use to protect. Yeah, pretty much.
Yep,
Cause you really saving money. Like I know once y'all do my house, I already know that DT bill. If I don't know if it get cut in half, but it's gonna go down. It might
it's
get
gonna
cut.
go down.
It's
Yeah,
gonna go down for sure, and I can use that money to, take Hawkeye on a good dog walk.
there you go.
Something. I'm trying to see what's another question. Oh, what challenges do you face when trying to educate customers on the importance of energy efficiency practices?
So, the challenge is it's a game that has some cost to get into it, and what I mean by that, like one of the barriers, like Asia, you're recently trained now. You have all the skills and capability to get rolling. Like just to get the tools and equipment, it's a 20K investment right now. So usually for a business starting out, that's a lot of money. I don't care what income bracket you're in. That's an investment that you have to make to get the testing equipment to do it. So
Yeah,
starting out, that's probably the most challenging part is to get the equipment, get rolling, and actually do it. So what I typically advise people is get one testing instrument at a time. Save up, get a blower door. And when you get that blower door, before you cut yourself loose on the general public, maybe go to your auntie's, grandma's house, like start auditing theirs for free just to kind of get a feel for it. And
hmm
then once you get good at it and you're able to input the reports and stuff like that, then turn around and actually make it a profit center. But that's the biggest problem with it. It's just getting over the hump to get rolling. That's kind of the barrier.
yeah, 'cause that's what I was gonna do when I get my equipment, or especially my elders. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna practice on my own house,
Hmm.
and then I'm practicing on everybody else's house for free. And then I might do like a couple of my followers, or like if I charge them, it'd be like something cheap just to pay for
Yep.
gas or something like
Hmm.
that, just so I
Yep.
can get to practice, so they'll know, and then they can hire me, you, or whoever to
Hmm.
come in here and do the work.
Absolutely. It's endless, absolutely endless.
Yeah, that's dope. All right, I ain't got no more questions. Do you got anything else you want to say? This was dope, and thank you for coming on here.
No, Age, I appreciate what you do, and it was a pleasure having you in class. And I'm sure we'll be talking in the future. But thanks for chatting with me and let us get our word out on your platform. We follow you, and we appreciate all the work that you put into the community. So, yep, thank you.
Thank you. So I do got one last question I'm starting to ask everybody who from Detroit. What is your favorite Detroit snack?
Mm.
Your favorite Detroit thing, like just about Detroit, period?
The people, man. I gotta throw my school out there. If not, they'll be mad at me. But I went to Cass Tech.
Boo!
Shout out to Cass Tech. Just the people. I
Appreciate
got.
it.
I'm a Detroiter through and through. Grew up on Schoolcraft in Southfield, and I used to catch the Grand River bus um, all the way down. And I went through every neighborhood. I went through North End. I went through um, Boston Edison, and just the people, man. I just have fond memories of the people, and our business is based near Detroit, and we're in Detroit often. And the people here, out of all the traveling here, I always enjoy Detroiters. There's something genuine about them. So that's the thing I love about Detroit. My favorite snack,
Detroit snack.
Detroit snack. I got to give it up to Sweetwater.
That's a snack.
Yeah, I mean, that's my go-to. We hit the Lions game, like on our way out. Like Sweetwater has to get done. So
Sweetwater tore my sister and my brother-in-law stomach up. I don't know if it
it,
was the spices or it wasn't cooked out. This was some years ago. Maybe
it
it was
wasn't from Detroit. That's it. See.
that I don't know. But my sister was like, maybe she been gone too long. My favorite Detroit snack, I got two. One is a bag of Better Maize, red hot or sweet barbecue.
Okay. Yep.
Lately, honey barbecue been slapping.
Yep.
And then I gotta have me an ice cold burners or a Rockin' Ralph Fago.
Okay. All right. Now that you mentioned that, the new cheddar barbecue popcorn that they got, that's pretty dope. And a red pop, Fago red pop. That's a good summer snack for me.
All right, since you said your favorite Detroit food, I'm gonna say my Detroit when I was eating red meat ain't nothing like no Detroit corned beef.
Hmm.
You only can get corned beef in Detroit, Chicago,
Yep.
probably Ohio.
Yep. Yep.
Since I
No,
don't eat red meat no more, I get the turkey, but ain't nothing like
it ain't the same. Yep.
dang,
Yep.
it's probably close. I should go get me one.
You're healthier, but it ain't the same.
It ain't the same, but because every time my daddy come up here, that's what he go get. Whenever I gotta fly down to him Christmas, I gotta
Mhm.
bring him a buddies and a corned beef.
Yep.
When I drive, I gotta bring that plus 6 24 packs of burners.
Yep.
I was like, that's you have a problem, sir. That's a lot of pop. But every time I drive, like he keep all the cans, I just bring them boys right on back.
To deposit. Yep.
I ain't never ashamed to turn no cans in.
Nope. Not at all.
Somebody said Esquire Deli had the best. No, I'm a North End baby, so I was at Mr. Bosto's and I was at Lou's up there on
Yep.
Woodward when he used to be
Yep.
on Woodward. But Lou's stay open late. I think they open at like 1, 2 in the morning.
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's a different type of atmosphere. So I'm gonna go do it in the daytime.
There you go.
I'm trying to see what's my favorite thing about Detroit. Like, despite my truck getting stowed, I still love Detroit. Because when I was talking to the insurance lady, she from Connecticut,
Mhm.
never been here, and she's like, I've always wanted to come, but I get a lot of calls when people getting their vehicles. So like, she started bashing Detroit, and I was like, hold on, I'm not gonna
Yep.
do that.
Yep.
Although I am pissed that my truck got stole, Detroit overall is the best city since sliced bread.
Yep.
If it wasn't for Detroit, despite us being a motor city, it's so like when I really start looking up Detroit history and going to like Detroit Historical Museum,
Mhm.
Detroit has contributed to so much in this world. Like, and I don't
Yeah.
think true Detroiters really understand. Like,
Yeah.
everybody who's from Detroit, you really need to walk around proud with your chest sticking out. Because if it weren't for us, the world would not have a lot of stuff. Despite that, we wouldn't have no streets, no roads, no
Absolutely.
pavement. The
Yep.
first ginger ale is Burness.
Yep.
A lot of y'all wouldn't be here because penicillin was made in Detroit. Kellogg cereal, Detroit. Now they in Battle Creek, and I was like, this is crazy. I'm like, Detroit, man, we dope.
Some of the best water in the world. Drinking water.
The best
Absolutely.
water.
Yep. Yep.
Fresh fish. You can catch real
Mhm.
wild caught salmon up North Michigan. You can go catch.
You adjacent to another country in Canada, real quick. Like it's
Can't beat it.
one of my favorite things now is the resurgence, and I really like what they did with the kind of the Michigan Central and the upper mobility of like a lot of the new startup businesses.
Mhm.
That's awesome too. So no, pure Detroiter, love my city, and
I love Detroit. Ain't nothing like it. Now you right, E with them coney dogs. But
yep.
we funny about our conies. There's only certain ones, and technically, if it ain't got no bulletproof glass, I'm not going in there.
Yeah, I hear you.
Like Lafayette in American downtown,
Yeah,
nah.
yeah,
Real Detroiters, we don't go there, bro.
yeah, yep,
I'm in the hood on Holbrook and 75, or the one on Clay and 75. Cause I'm a North End baby. Or
yep,
I'm going up there to what's the one on Woodward and Mac, Detroit one. I'm
yep.
going to one of them. If y'all
Yep.
follow me, y'all need to give me some free food because I just put all y'all stuff out there. Come on. But I ain't nothing like no Detroit food. Like I be telling my friends, like, and my family even know this. Detroit is one of the few places we have every single culture right here in Detroit, not Metro Detroit, in Detroit. So we got all different kind of food. I don't know no other city where I can eat a 5-course meal at 2 in the morning. I can go to the casino and eat very, very good at 2 a.m.
It's an amazing city, and as we travel and teach and stuff in other areas, we make sure that we give a good representation of the city. So
Got to.
yep.
Got to. Well, thank you again, man. This was so cool. Definitely got to have you back on next year sometime with some whatever new updates come with BPI or something.
Absolutely,
For sure.
absolutely. Again, thanks for what you're doing. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on, and have a good weekend. Have a good evening. Tell Melissa I said hello.
I will.
That's my dog.
Yep.
All right, cool.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Asia.
Have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.